And the domination continues. The Bills have never lost a playoff game to Miami, and they haven't lost a postseason game at home in 9 straight. No wonder Brian Cox and the Dolphins don't like playing here. By the way, no confrontation today between Brian and Carwell, just good, hard football. The Bills' first play of the game in the first quarter, obviously, Jim Kelly will find Steve Tasker for a 9-yard gain. So they come out looking like they know what they're doing, and then it's Kelly to Tasker for 8 yards. And Steve Tasker would get his first 100-yard game receiving. In fact, he had 108 at the half, including this 26-yard pickup down to the 2-yard line that sets up the opening score. Thurman Thomas for the 1-yard TD, and the Bills are up 7-0. Bills' very next possession, it's Thurman ripping off an 11-yard run, and Thurman with a great day today. 158 yards as the Bills establish the ground game. Here he goes, rips off another 12-yard gain, and that leads to a Steve Christie 48-yard field goal. Bills are up now 10-0. Then on their next possession, the Bills backed up deep in their own territory, started on their own 1-yard line, but they marched downfield. On 3rd and 8, what do? They fool them with the draw play, and Derek Holmes rips off a 34-yard gain all the way down to the Miami 1. He was just short of getting in. Too bad he didn't get in, because in the second quarter, after they switched sides, Jim Kelly throws the interception to kill the drive. Gene Atkins picks him off, and that could have really hurt Bills at that point with a chance to go up 17-0. Still, they bounce back. Second quarter, it's still 10-0, and Derek Holmes extends the Bills' lead. He gets in this time, 21-yard touchdown run, including a great cutback. What moves by the kid. He's got a touchdown here, and it's 17-0 Bills now. And then the defense gets in on the act. Marino back to pass, and Phil Hansen will nail Marino as he throws the ball, and it's picked off by Marlo Perry. And that turnover is one that the Bills would cash in on, because Jim Kelly comes back looking for Steve Tasker on a 2nd and 3. Miami's thinking run, but Kelly's going long. Great over-the-shoulder grab by Tasker for the 37-yard touchdown, and the Bills have a 24-0 lead. Second half, Bills not quite as dominant offensively, but the defense continues to pitch the shutout. Miami on the move, but the Bills' D steps it up. Phil Mel Johnson picks it off. Hey, he was on the practice squad just a couple of weeks ago. Bills get 3 interceptions in the game, and their defense is not done. On this play, Dan Marino can't handle the snap, and it bounces off his hand right to Bryce Popp, who is Johnny on the spot. As you see the replay, this is not an interception. It scored a fumble recovery, but either way, it's a turnover for the Bills. Led to a field goal. It made it 27-0 after 3. In the fourth quarter, the Dolphins finally break the shutout on 4th and goal from the 5. Marino finds O.J. McDuffie to make it 27-7. But the Bills come back. Tim Tyndale, first carry of the game, and look at this. He's off to the races, 44 yards for the touchdown. His previous long this year was 6 yards. It's 34-7, and the Brian Cox chants begin. All right, and the Dolphins would add a couple of late scores, but then Ken Irvin would seal the fate, picking off Dan Marino. Bills win 37-22. Miami is going home, while the Bills, who established an AFC playoff record running the ball today, are going to Pittsburgh for the divisional playoff. Paul Peck is still out at Rich Stadium, where the big victory was scored. Paul.
You know, Bill, I don't think we've seen the Bills as dominant as they were in the first half of this game. You have to go all the way back to the 1990 AFC Championship game when they beat the Raiders 51-3. It was that dominant. All week long, we talked about, could the Bills run the ball? That's what they needed to do to beat Miami. They ran the ball pretty well, I would say. 341 yards, an AFC playoff record. Thurman Thomas chipped in with 158 yards himself, but Thurman was quick to thank his offensive line, and they certainly deserved it.
It was just an outstanding job by the offensive line, doing a great job blocking, and really the offensive coaches putting in some different looks, putting in some different plays that made everything work. Ever since Oliver Dolly's been there, you know, when you do things to hurt him, he doesn't really make a lot of change, he doesn't make a lot of adjustments. And, you know, when we saw what defense that he was in, we kind of felt that, hey, today could be a good day for rushing the football.
We were able to stay diversified today. We were able to change, you know, be able to constantly change what we were doing. We weren't very predictable at all, and I think because of that, it was hard for Miami because they had to maybe guess a little bit in what we were going to do, and we were able to succeed.
The only time Tom Alvadotti was able to stop Thurman Thomas was when Thurman ran into him on the sidelines after a running play. Here's the injury update. Steve Tasker pulling a tendon in the back of his leg. It's not the hamstring. Steve says he felt better after the game, but it's going to depend on how he feels tomorrow. Lonnie Johnson with a slight knee sprain. Both those injuries right now up in the air. We'll know a little bit more probably on Monday, but it's off to Pittsburgh Saturday at 12:30. It's the Bills and the Steelers. Bill, the Bills have had some big wins in Pittsburgh, the 92 season during the playoffs. They've also had some horrible losses there, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
All right, thanks a lot, Paul Peck. And I want to just follow up on a point you just made about the running game. You know, there is something that the Bills players and coaches understand, and they proved it today. It's something most Bills fans understand, but Miami still has no clue why they keep losing to the Bills. Here is the primary reason, because as Marv Levy always says, you got to run and stop the run. That is the key to victory, and the Bills with that AFC playoff record, 341 yards, a record that had stood since 1963. Meanwhile, the Dolphins didn't run at all. They passed so much that Dan Marino tied the NFL playoff record, 64 passes in a game, and Miami actually broke the team record with 66. They were totally predictable. Let's look at it another way. Game 1 this year, the Dolphins established the run against the Bills, and they win. They ran for 148 yards on 34 carries. Game 2, they gave up on the run too quickly, and they lost, only 18 for 42. And then today, even less of an attempt, just 14 carries for 70 yards. You run to victory. The Bills did that while Marino and Shula still don't understand that, and that's why they keep getting beat. NFC playoff game today. The Detroit Lions, winners of 7 straight going into this game, figure they might finally do something in the playoffs. Philadelphia Eagles lead them 48-7 in the third quarter.
Whoa.
Whoa.
What a rout.
That's almost as bad as what the Bills did to Miami.
Yeah, all right. Must be something in the air.